Hey guys, in this After Effects tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create this cinematic title sequence in After Effects without using any third-party plugin. Now, this animation is inspired from VideoHive author GeoLabs, so link to his template is in the description below. With that said, let's jump straight into After Effects and get started. Alright guys, so here we are in After Effects. Let's start by creating a new composition. Let's call this render as our main render comp. I'm going to go with 2K. You can of course go with full HD or 4K if you want to. So I'm going to set this to 2560 1440 30 fps and 10 seconds long duration. Press OK and let's create another new comp. This is going to be our text placeholder, so let's call this title and press OK. Then select the text tool and then you can type in anything that you want. I'm just going to type in cinematic title just like we saw in the example. Alright, let's increase the size and align this into the center. For the font, I'm going with a Clash Grotesque Regular, one of my favorite font, and it's a free font, so feel free to use it. Alright, let's align this properly. For the background, I'm gonna keep it black. So let's press Ctrl K to bring up the composition settings and set the background color to black. Alright, so we can see the animation much more properly. Now let's go ahead and animate the cinematic titles that we have. So I'll go with maybe a lighter tone or a lighter weight, not a tone. Okay, so let's add some nice animation to this title. So I'm going to go into animate and add a position. Then click on add property and let's add an opacity and then add a property of blur as well. So let's set the blur to around 50. And one more thing that we need to do here is make the layer or the text layer turn into per character 3D. So to do that, I'll go into animate and let's enable per character 3D. So this will give another position that is in the Z axis and that is exactly what we want. So let's set this to around maybe 800 should be fine. All right, and let's bring down the opacity to 0. Then go into the range selector. Let's set the offset to -100 and create a keyframe. Then I'll go to around 3 seconds and set this to 100%. Then go into advanced properties and set the shape to ramp up. Increase the ease high to around 70 or 75 and increase the ease low to around 85. So now when we preview this, we have this really nice cinematic looking title animation which looks very elegant, classic, and yeah, feels very clean. But I also need to turn on the randomize order so that it appears in a randomized way. So if I preview this now, there we go, looking super clean and very nice. Okay, so this is fine. Let's close the animated one and let's go into animate and add an animator of tracking and let's animate the tracking as well. So let's create a keyframe on the tracking amount at the very start and let's set this to around -10. I think 10 should be fine. And at the very end, that is around 10 seconds, I'll set this to somewhere around there. Now you can see it doesn't animate from the center, which is what I'm looking for. So what we need to do is select the text layer, go into the paragraph alignment and make sure the paragraph alignment is set to center text. By default, it will be on left alignment. So make sure you fix that. And then you can just center the anchor point and move it into the center, but it won't work because now our layer is 3D. So I'm going to turn on the title action safe and do this manually like so. All right, now let's animate the tracking amount to 20. That's fine. So now when we preview this, we have this really nice cinematic looking title animation. Pretty good. Let's duplicate this. Press Ctrl D to duplicate, select it and move this at the top. Let's set the weight to something like maybe a semi bold and bring down the size a little bit. And let's type in new tutorial. Also, I'm gonna make this full caps. All right, and there we have our title animation or text animation. Let's move this layer 1 second forward in time so the smaller text appear later. after the first text animation. That is looking good. Maybe I'll increase the kerning between this text. So I'll just make it a bit more intense. And there we go. Looking pretty nice. So our text animation is ready. Now we need to create two different textures in order to create those swirly lines. So to do that, I'll create a new composition called this texture underscore 01. Press OK. Then press Ctrl Y to create a new solid layer called this fractal. Press OK. Go into effects and presets and search for fractal noise effect. Double click to apply that. Let's change the fractal type to something like a dynamic twist and set the noise type to spline. Then increase the contrast to around 370 and bring down the brightness to around -70. Then I'll jump into transform, unlink the uniform scaling and increase the scale width to 1000 and bring down the scale height to around 30. Now let's animate the evolution of this. So we can add a very simple time expression. So hold Alt and click on the evolution stopwatch and type in time times, let's go with 100. So that we have a continuous evolution, as you can see. Also, I'm going to animate the offset turbulence. So I'll select the fractal noise here, place the offset turbulence point right over here and create a keyframe, go all the way up to 10 seconds and let's move this right here. So now we have some nice offset going on, which is fine. Then let's close this, go into effects and presets, search for turbulent displace, apply that. Let's set this to turbulent smoother, increase the amount or bring down the amount actually to 20 and let's increase the size to around 300. Then I'll also play around with the offset turbulence. So I'll place this right here, create a keyframe in the offset turbulence, go 10 seconds and let's move this just like so. So when we preview this, we have something like that, maybe a bit more, I think, to keep it a bit more intense. Yep, that is looking much better or way too much. Okay, so this is looking nice. I can bring up the complexity to around 2, I think. Yes, 2 is fine. And then I'll add the turbulent displace one more time. Set this to smoother again. And let's bring the amount down to around 40. And also increase the size to around 400. So that looks quite intense and that is exactly what I'm going for. Maybe something like that, around 500 should be fine. And let's bring down a little bit, somewhere around maybe 20. So now we have this nice waves going on. This looks pretty cool. Now to add a sense of detail into this particular texture, let's duplicate this, press Ctrl D and then toggle switch and change the blending mode of this to add. Then I'm going to go in the fractal noise, bring down the contrast to around 250 should be fine, and also bring down the brightness to -20. Then go into the transform and let's increase the scale height to around 50. Then I'll duplicate this fractal noise, so press Ctrl D. Change the fractal type from dynamic twist to just dynamic and increase the contrast all the way up to 1000 and also set the brightness to -200. Then change the blending mode of this to multiply, also for the fractal one as well. So let's set this to multiply as well. There you go. And if I solo this up so you can see what's going on, it's nothing is visible right now, so we need to play around a little bit here. Let's close the turbulent displace. I think I'll change the fractal noise to blend mode to normal. We don't need to keep it multiply, and yep, that is looking fine. Turn on the turbulent displacement. Okay, and let's play around a little bit with the offset. So I'll press U. Let's go right here and select the fractal offset. Let me move this a little bit forward in time. And there we go. We have a sense of detail going on. Then I'm going to go into effects and presets, search for CC vector blur, double click to apply that. And we can again solo this up so we can just focus on one layer at a time. Increase the amount to around 15 and also increase the rigid smoothness to 8. So that's looking quite nice. I think 15 is fine. Let's go back in the fractal noise 2, go into transform, bring down the scale width to around 250. I think 250 is a bit too much, so let's bring that up a little bit again. So somewhere around 600 should be fine. All right, that is looking quite nice. And then I'll create a new solid again, press Ctrl Y, make this white. This is going to be our light, so let's call this light. Press OK, and I'm going to select a pen tool, or let's select an ellipse tool and create an ellipse holding Control, just like so. Go right here in the mask properties and let's give it a feather of 600. So we have a very intense feather. We can adjust the mask later on if we wish to. So for now, I'm just gonna select it, press Ctrl T and adjust it a little bit. All right. Now let's go into our main project panel and duplicate the texture one. So press Ctrl D to duplicate it. Go into the texture one and then we can hide this one, I think. The texture, the fractal 2, we just need the fractal 1 for this one, so it has a little bit lesser details than the texture 1, so that's fine. Now let's go into our main render comp. First of all, press Ctrl K to make the background black. It's fine. If not, we can just press Ctrl Y to create a new solid, call this BG and make it black as well. And now we can start building up our scene. So right click and create a new camera. I'm going to go with a 50mm preset and press OK. Right click and create a new null object, call this cam control and make it 3D. And then you can link the camera to this null object. All right, we can hide this. And then we can drag in our texture one just like so. Make sure to make it into a 3D layer. Press R to bring down the rotation tool and rotation property, sorry. And let's place it somewhere like so. And one more thing that we need to do is select the background layer, go into effects and presets, search for fill effect. And instead of keeping it complete black, I want to make it a little bit more of a grayish tone like so. Because now when we select the texture and change the blend mode of this to classic color dodge, we're going to get some really nice results. As you can see, it looking pretty good. Let's set this to around 270. So there you go. Pretty cool. And then I can select this. Let's select the rounded rectangle tool maybe and create a rectangle shape like so. And let's give it a feather of around somewhere around there. So something like 400 should be good. And there you go, looking pretty nice. Then I can simply duplicate this. So press Ctrl D to duplicate. Let's place it right here and rotate it a little bit like so. That maybe a little bit, something like so. Press Ctrl D again and I'm going to place one right here and rotate it like so. And then we can just replace this texture one with texture 2. So select both of these two and replace that with texture 2. So it has a little bit lesser detail and this is what we are going for, but right now it's looking very monotonous. So what we need to do is let's select this, go into effects and presets and search for wave warp effect. Double click to apply that. I'm gonna set the wave height to 10 and let's increase the wave width to around 300. So that is looking much better. Bring down the wave speed to zero point 0.5. Let's copy this effect and paste it on texture 2 and texture 1 again, Control V. And then I'm gonna use a very interesting effect called Bezier warp. This will help us to shape the waves that we have going on. So I can just use this like so and play around with the shape a little bit like that. There you go. Let's apply it on this one as well. And you can take your time to do this. I'm just doing it very randomly just to get an idea of what kind of shape I want to go with. Fine. And let's add this one on texture 1. Move this like so. There you go. Looking really nice. All right, now we can animate our camera. So go at the very start, select the cam control null object that we created, select P for position and create a keyframe. Go right here and let's maybe zoom in a little bit like so. Now we have this nice movement and we can also add a little bit of rotation here. So we can create a keyframe. Go right here, actually move this keyframe at the very end. At the very start, we can make it move it like so, very minimal. Okay, so that is looking quite nice. And on top of this, I can add the title that we just created. So there we go. That's looking pretty nice, I think. Then I have a few assets right here, some nice particles that we can add on top. Let's increase the size a little bit like so. Set the blend mode of this to screen. There you go. And some smoke as well. Increase this and set the blend mode to screen. And I'm going to rotate this. I want this to appear from the top. So I'll rotate it by 180 degrees. Bring down the opacity. Keep it very subtle, maybe around 10%, I think, so that it adds a atmospheric smoke to this. Very nice. So let's now go ahead and add some depth into the scene. So to do that, I'll create a new shape layer, or let's actually create a new solid. Press Ctrl Y, call this map. Press OK, go into effects and presets and search for ramp. Double click to apply that. Let's set this to radial ramp, swap colors, and I'm going to move this point right here and then move this point like so. Okay, let's pre-compose it. Press Ctrl Shift C, call this map, move all attributes, press OK. We can hide this layer, and then we can create a new adjustment layer. Call this depth. Go to effects and presets, search for camera lens blur, double click to apply that, and set the blur map layer to the map layer that we just created, and click on invert blur map. Then we can increase the amount as much as we want, and as you can see, we can get this really nice depth. So let's set this to around 25, I think. Okay, and let's play around a little bit with the map. So I'll select the gradient ramp, maybe move this a little bit like so. Yep, that is looking quite nice. Now let's add some color to this finally. So I'll create a new adjustment layer again. Call this CC for color correction. Go into effects and presets, search for curves color correction, and then I'm going to switch to red channel first. Let's bring that down a little bit. Then go into blue channel and bring that up. And then go into the green channel and bring that one a little bit up. So now it looks much more cinematic. Also bring down the particles opacity a little bit, like 50% or 35. So now when we preview this, we have this really nice looking cinematic title animation. Pretty cool. I think I'll add some depth to these two textures as well. So we can use a Gaussian blur. And let's set this to around 10, I think. This will add a separation between the texture 1 and texture 2, I think. Yeah. So that's looking pretty crazy. And there are some anti-aliasing issues, so we can add a Gaussian blur on texture 1 as well, but keep it very subtle, like maybe 1% or so. Or maybe let's go with 3. Yeah, that's much better. Perfect. Let's go into the blue channel a little bit and let's increase this. And finally, I will add some sharp into this. Let's set it to 15, and let's add another curves adjustment, and let's increase the contrast a little. There you go. And there we have our cinematic title sequence animation inside of After Effects that we created completely using the default plugins and effects that comes into After Effects. No third party plugin is required. And as you can see, the final result looks absolutely crazy, absolutely cool. And the best part is that you can anytime tweak the textures that we created, use a different style and experiment with this and achieve a really different result. So let's say if I go into the fractal and maybe I'll select a linear texture, I can play around with that, something like so, and increase the or bring down the complexity. Let's go into transform and let's play around with this thing, and we will get a really different result here. Looks pretty crazy. So that is all for today, guys. If you enjoy this video, you should definitely check out our logo and title animation playlist. We have more than 200 tutorials, so I'm absolutely sure you will love it. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at dope.motions and Nikhil Pawar. And I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, take care and always stay raw, stay creative. Peace out.